Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. Hockey is right around the corner. We'll be betting on NHL action very soon. And if you need a little catch up, we've got some winning strategies to hopefully win you some money. We've got Scott Rickenbach joining us to talk some hockey. And Scott was the #1 capper on Picks and Parlays. .net for all of 2020, so he knows what he's talking about. It's wildcard weekend in the NFL, and we've got a special promo code. The code is WILD for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Scott, we're talking about hockey, and we're going to talk about 3 strategies: following the money, fading the masses, and some off-the-radar gems. If you want to just dive into those 3 and just a very rough draft stuff for beginners when it comes to hockey, or maybe people that just need a quick refresher.
Sure, sounds great, Chelsea. And yes, thankfully, hockey was part of that big 2020 for me. It is my favorite sport to handicap, and I was fortunate enough to finish #1 in hockey at Picks and Parlays for the season as well. So definitely looking forward to another campaign and hoping that this one is not so disjointed like last year was with all the COVID, of course. But let's talk about some of these tips. And the first one, follow the money when it comes to money line betting. Now, normally, I do not like to follow the money. Generally, it's not something I will do. But what we're talking about here with these 3 tips is we're looking for value in each case. And what I'm going to talk about here is that if you see a money line move and it's on a favorite, and we're talking about, say, a road favorite that's a rather small price, like just say they opened at 115, it went to 120, 125. Again, normally I do not like to follow the money. I'll be on the opposite side of moves. But one of my favorite strategies in betting hockey is grabbing a good team off a loss. And the best time to get value with a good team off a loss is when they're on the road, because even in the COVID impacted years, you're still going to have some shading given to the home team for having home ice. And so the fact is there's some extra value generally baked in for a road team that's a good quality team. And so if you can take a good quality team, look for teams with winning records or that are coming off a strong season that are still good this year, and you catch a team like that off a loss, so they're going to be motivated. Or maybe this is even a revenge game for them. Maybe it's a favorable scheduling spot because they lost on a Tuesday. This game's on a Thursday. They're facing a team that's now in a back-to-back and just played on a Wednesday. The point is, you're looking at that road team bouncing back off a loss, and you've got a quality team. It's a case like that where I'm willing to lay a small price. Again, I don't like to play big favorites in money line sports, hockey, or baseball. I always want to look for either underdogs or a low price favorite. So here I'm giving you an example of a lower price favorite that is absolutely worth the value and where you want to follow the money. You see a little line move like that, 115 up to that 125, 130 range, and it's a team that's off a loss and it's a good quality team that is going to bring a big effort that night. Those are the ones you want to back. So that's when I follow the money. Now, fading the money, which is actually my favorite thing to do, because we get extra value, of course, when the line has moved one way and we actually like the other side of that move. Give you a good example. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Flyers. Their #1 goalie is Carter Hart. Their #2 goalie is Brian Elliott. Let's say that the Flyers are on the road and it's announced that Carter Hart is not going to be starting. So the #1 goalie's out. Now, automatically, a lot of times when the markets see that, they will adjust and they'll jump on it and they'll say, oh, the Flyers have their backup goalie in. I'm going to play the other side of this. And so the line starts moving. But let's talk about that for a second, because in the case of a guy like this, Carter Hart, he's a young goalie that's very, very good at home. He's got great home ice numbers. His road ice numbers are not that good. Brian Elliott is a veteran, just signed on for a 1-year contract, 1 more year, and he's a veteran goalie that his numbers are actually just as good on the road as they are at home. The fact that Carter Hart is not going to play and Elliott's going to start, the markets will react to that and they'll fade the Flyers. I'll be on the Flyers in a case like that because actually Elliott gives them a better chance than Hart when you consider the home road dichotomy of those 2 goalies. So again, about fading the masses, what you're looking at is that a situation, and to me, this is a big betting tip that goes across all sports. When you find something that the market perceives the value one way, but the true value is really the other direction, then you're getting the best of both worlds. You're not only fading a line move, but you're actually getting the better value. And so I love looking for situations like that. That's just one example. But again, the point is just keep an eye on that when a line is moving. If you feel it's moving for the wrong reason, you're getting even more value with playing it for the right reason. And so that's what I mean by fading the masses and looking for special situations like that. So the third one, and this is something that a very well respected professional bettor that I know actually likes games like this. And what I mean when I'm talking about these games that are under the radar, off the radar, is that games where the line doesn't move much. There are professional bettors that actually like to really focus on those games because they don't want the games that have the big line movement and big adjustments. They're looking for those games that other people are not looking at. And where you find value in situations like that, and we're talking about hockey here, of course. So as an example, two bad hockey teams are matched up. They both have, say, equally poor records, but maybe one of those teams is really currently playing very, very well right now. Or maybe this is a revenge game for them, or maybe they're in a very strong scheduling spot compared to the other team. The other team's in a back-to-back. They come into this game with 2 days off. They have an advantage. But nobody's looking at this game. Why? Because it's not two high-level teams that are facing off like the Boston Bruins and Tampa Bay Lightning. Everybody's looking at a game like that. But if you have a game that involves a couple of small market teams that nobody's looking at, and maybe that line is not moving at all, that's actually a game where you might find some value because nobody else is looking at it. Maybe the line is priced a little low on the favorite. You like the favorite here. The favorite has the true advantages when you look deeper into the game. And that's a game where you'll have good value because the Boston Tampa Bay game, as an example, everybody's looking at that. So the value that was there, it's going to get eaten up by the time the markets have already adjusted to it and made those moves. There is no value left. Keep an eye out for those games that are off the radar of most people. And that's where you will actually find some gems, some good value, because you're going to be one of the few people that's actually looking at that matchup and you can hammer it. And that's where you can make a lot of money too in hockey betting.
Yeah, and all of that advice you could probably apply to betting on most sports. So just to recap, we're talking about number one, following the money. Number two, fading the masses or fading the public, as a lot of people like to say. And then keep your eyes peeled for some of the off the radar gems, games that not everyone's betting on, because maybe you'll get a little bit more value. But that's going to do it for our hockey tips. Any last tidbits you'd like to add before we go, Scott?
The other thing, because specific to hockey, is special teams play. That's something to keep an eye on too. Look at teams that have a really hot power play going, or maybe they're struggling on the penalty kill, because those types of things. If you have a team that comes into a game and their power play has just been scorching hot, and the other team's penalty kill has been struggling, some guys don't dig into the details of that and don't see a matchup like that. But that can be a matchup that's important specific to hockey where you've got a big edge because that penalty kill for the other team is very unlikely to stop that red hot power play, and you're going to get a goal or two out of that sometimes. And of course, that's the difference. Hockey's a low scoring game, so you get that special teams edge on your side. You got a good chance of winning as well.
And then finally, do you ever live bet any of these games? Is that worth a look?
It's absolutely worth a look because sometimes some injury situations too crop up during a game, or maybe you can see that the ice is kind of shifting during the game. And what I mean by that is it seems like even let's say the game is 1-0, but the team that's actually controlled play is the team that's down 1-0, but they're starting to get all that momentum. That's a case where you can get some value grabbing them, knowing that just say that that's the way the first period is playing out, but you know coming the rest of the game that it just seems like that team, they've got all the momentum and they're going to come back and win this game. That's when you can really get some good value in terms of in-play live betting.
Yeah, sometimes if you look at shots on goal and if they have a ton, eventually they're probably going to fall. I'm not an expert on hockey, but sometimes that's the case. But that's going to do it for our
Very
hockey
true.
tip to start the season. As always, great stuff from Scott Rickenbach. Scott, thanks for joining us.